And we are started.
Perfect. So for this training session here, it's really similar to the one that we had done last week. The difference is that this one here, we're going to look at some joint reports. So what that is it's a way to be able to bring in different kinds of information into one report. So different buckets of information into one report. And I know that you're really strapped for time right now and you haven't had much of an opportunity to play around in here. So what I can do is we can go through the report training. I also have my demo environment opened up here as well, where we have like a lot more records and stuff in here. So if we want to, we can also generate a report in here if you want to see a little more about how it would look like as well. So have you had a chance to look at any of the reports or the reporting functionality since last week? I think it was last week we did our call.
No,
okay.
No, unfortunately, I haven't had the chance to.
Yeah, okay. Yep. I figured by the sounds of it, you've been pretty busy. All right, so I'm just going to go to the Reports tab, and we'll walk through how to create the joint report. So it's the same steps as what we did to create any other report. We go to the Reports tab, then New Report, and select the report type. So let's look for certificates right here, and I'm just going to select certificates. You can really pick whatever kind of report you need to create. So this is the same as what we were, very similar to what we were looking at last week. This is the reporting wizard. I've selected for a new certificates report. So now I'm just pulling in all of my certificates here. The one thing that we do need to do to change it to a joint report is right up here where it says report, and then there's a drop down. We're just going to select that. Instead of just a column report, we'll do a joint report. Apply. What this does, so right now we have, this is block 1, and I'm just pulling in certificates. Add another block here using the button there, and you can select what else you need to include in this report. I was playing around with it a little bit, trying to find something we'd be able to pull in just to take a look at the two different reports, but it looks like the majority of what you have out here right now is on the certificate side. So I'm just going to put in certificates again, just so we're essentially going to have two blocks that are the same. So here's block 1 and here's block 2. What we'll do though is we'll change this, and I'm going to go in and we'll change some filters now in a second, and we'll change this one here so that it's any certificates expiring this fiscal year, and then we'll change this one so it's any certificates expiring the next fiscal year. So it's two separate reports. An example of when you'd probably want to use a joint report. The best example, and this is what I thought of when I was trying to wrap my head around it, was looking at my electricity bill for the last couple of years. If you took your electricity bill and you said, okay, this is my usage was this year, and then this is what my usage was last year, and kind of do a side-by-side comparison. It's kind of an example of why you'd want to run a report. So for example, if you want to see all of your certificates that have expired last year, certificates expiring this year, so you could do a side-by-side comparison, that sort of thing. That's a good example of why you would want to pull that report. One thing I would suggest doing if you're generating one of these reports are to change the names, because it can get confusing as well. So we'll just change the name to certificates expiring this year and certificates expiring next year. Right. So what I want to do, so this one here is your certificates expiring this year. So we're actually going to go to your filters. So right now, the filters for this column, we have it for show me my certificates. I'm going to change it to all. It always defaults to mine, to my certificates. So just remember, if you're ever seeing records you think are missing. It could be because you have it as my certificates, but you need all certificates or something along those lines. And I'm going to change the certificate. Right now it's in the effective date. I'm going to change this to the expiry date. And that's going to be for the current fiscal year. Perfect. So now this here, in this column, we have a list of all certificates that are expiring this year. And then for this block here, we're going to do the same thing. So change it to all certificates. And the expiry date for, let's go with next fiscal year. And it's automatically putting those dates in there then for you. If you need to change the date range, you can always hit customize and change your date range. Okay, so now we can see we have, there's 11 certificates right here expiring this year. We have 2 right here expiring next year. If there's other columns that you pull into the report or other fields, you can do that the same way we did when we created the other reports last week. So if you want to bring in status, we could bring status over here, and we can drop that there. And if I want to see the status as well for that second block, I can put that here as well. And similar to as we did last week as well, where we were able to group the reports or group the records, we can do that as well. And that's just on your outline tab here. So we can group across blocks. So let's group by insured organization. So if we do this, then what we have is, the bar for Zoom keeps getting in my way. I have to keep moving around. So then what we have is this is going to show you here. This is your insured organization. So it looks like there was nothing entered for the insured organization for this group here. But these are the insurance certificate names. These are the ones that expired this year and then last year. So for example, if we were looking at, or sorry, expiring next year, not last year. Then if we looked at, for example, the insured organization Global Spectrum, we have nothing expiring this year, but we do have one certificate expiring next year. The status is approved. If we also wanted to see, let's say we wanted to see the expiry date as well, so you can have an idea of when they're expiring, we can also pull that into our route as well. So then I can see these are the that are expiring this year. Here's the expiry dates. So we have test organization. There are 5 with the expiry date statuses. And for test organization, we have a thing for next year, for example. And then that's essentially how you would build your joined report. After that, after you pull in all your filters, you rate your blocks, you can rename your blocks. If you want to add a chart similar to what I had done last week, you can add a chart as well. So we have our chart added here. So this is your, let's see. These are certificates expiring this year and the number of certificates expiring this year. I'm actually run the report now in a moment so you can see what it looks like when it's ran. And then once again, same as what we looked at last week, if you hover over either of these bars here, it'll show you what the records are that are included in that. So if it's like the dental, Shaw Dental, for example, there's only 1 record included here. Test organization, we have 5 records that would be expiring this year. And let's save this and run it so you can see what that looks like. I ran out of characters. So certificates expiring in the next 2 years. And I'll put that in the public folders and save it. It's taking its time. Okay, perfect. So here's our chart up here, and then the reports down here. So in this example here, if you were looking at your certificates that are expiring within the next 2 years, and then you could have it broken out by this year and then next year as well. So this gives you a little more reporting functionality. The chart that we have up here, so this is only showing the certificates expiring this year, but you can select your chart properties, and then on the x-axis, you can change that then as well. So if you want to see then the certificates expiring next year instead, you could select that, and then it will change the chart for you so you can see that next year. And of course, you can change the type of chart if you like. And you can put a title up on the chart as well. So if you want the same title as your report, you can do that. Okay. And then from here, if you did want to add any of your joined reports to a dashboard, just like we had done last week, you can always then select the drop down here, and you can add your report to a dashboard as well. So if we wanted to add it to an existing dashboard, let's say the test dashboard, or if we wanted to create a new one, we can create a new one. This is the one I believe we had created last week. So if we added that in here, we can see the dashboards here. If we need to resize it, these are quite big. You can resize things in here. And we wanted that is over here. Oh, it's finicky and wants to move around on me. Oh. Okay, let's leave it right here. But you can, this one's really big, I think is what's going on. We're taking up all the space with this one. So that is essentially how you do your joined reports. And there we go, we have another one added to the dashboard. Did you have any questions?
How do you export this to, if you wanted to export this to a document, like do you have to do a screen print, or is there a download somewhere?
For the dashboard itself, or for a report?
For the report, like if you wanted to take this and put it like in a Word document, would you have to do a print screen, or can you?
For this here, for the dashboard, I believe it would have to be a, oh no, you can, wait, I can do a save as. No, that's, I thought it might give us the option for PDF or something like that. Brad, do you know if off the top of your head, if we can somehow export dashboards, or is it, I know we can for reports, or would that have to be a screenshot?
I think for dashboards, it would have to be a screenshot. I'll make note of it, and I'll see if we can get on with that.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought it was too for the dash. you'd have to do a screenshot. But for each of your dashboards, you can also hit done here. So we can actually go to the there we go. You can also click on the report for any of your dashboards. So if you did have to do a screenshot, you can screenshot here, but then if you click on the link underneath the dashboard, that will actually open up the report associated with it. So in this case here, here's the report associated with this. And then we can export here. And the only option for the format is Excel. So this is going to only export the records down here.
Okay.
To get the actual chart itself, you'd have to do the screenshot.
Okay.
And we're still looking into this. I believe, Brad, this one was not resolved yet, correct? With the HTML showing up here?
Correct. I'm still looking into it.
Yeah, okay. Did you have any other questions, Filani?
No, I mean, this, like I said, I hopefully I'm done with everything this week, and then I can start looking into the reports. I'm also just waiting to hear back from the communication team whether they want to change anything in terms of the form. So I haven't really had much time to look into anything this week, but hopefully by Friday I'm done with all this, and I will try it out a little bit and maybe have more questions down the line.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, and like I think we had said last week too, the reporting, once you get in there, and I think it's really when you get it and you're trying to start things, and it's easy enough when someone's showing you, but then when you're trying to do it yourself and you're like, where is that button? I know it's here.
Yeah. And the thing too, like with reports, I remember when I started my role and someone was trying to show me the financial system, and at the back of my mind I kept on saying, like, I'm never going to use this system, and 3 years down the line, like, I find myself having to pull the reports from the financial system, right? So I know right now, before I have used the certificate program, I probably don't see how the reports are going to operate, but if I start getting requests and I start getting certificates, I'm sure I will find a way on how the reports are supposed to come together, right?
Right, yeah. That's right. And I think I did ask you this last week as well. So you have no reports that you generate right now that you need to hand off to somebody else or anything like that, do you?
No, I mean, like I said, like the only thing I can come to mind right now is just like maybe the first day is just to kind of get a sense of how many reports are coming in, or where they're coming in from, or where they, like that's the kind of report I'll probably be looking at like in my first year. But like you're saying, if you can put a comparison on a year-to-year basis, like to see what came in last year, what came in this year, that could be helpful. If I can break down the certificates by departments, like I can see that being useful, like to see where the certificates are coming from, right?
Absolutely. And something else that you could do is, although, no, I was thinking, I know one thing that we do see some customers doing, but it's more on the claim side than the certificate, would be for like dollar comparisons for things like for claims paid out. But that's a little different than the certificate side.
Yeah. So yeah, like I said, I haven't really had much time to play around with it, but hopefully when things calm down after we're done with our financial end reporting, then I can take some time and go through it. Hopefully, I'm hoping to hear back from, like I said, from the certificate departments this week. So I'm hoping we should be up and done with the certificates soon and just start rolling it out and see how it works out.
Perfect. And the reports too are really good with comparison for the joined reports, but also to make sure you're not missing anything. So, you know, if it was things like expired reports, if you want us to your, or reports, certificates, so, or
Yep.
contracts, if it was certificates expiring in the next 6 months, for example, the reporting can really help with that because it makes sure you don't miss something along the way.
Okay.
Because the report's automatically generating. You can just go in and see, oh, this one's coming up and this one's coming up, and then renew the certificates or do what you need to do with them.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So from a reporting perspective, now I can, if you did want to see some more reports, we can also go into the demo environment. I can show you some there as well. Or if you're comfortable with what you've seen so far, we can leave it at that. It's completely up to you.
I mean, like I said, I think with the reports, like I said, they only start making sense when I start generating my own reports. So if
Yeah.
this is going to be recorded and it's something that I can always go back and see how you pulled out the reports. If I have any questions, I suppose I can always come back to you guys. But this is enough for me so far.
Perfect. Okay. Excellent. And Brad, did you have anything else to add?
No, I don't actually. So that's it for me. If you guys want, I can stop the recording.